everyone, and welcome to another video. This is my puppy Meesha, and she might be hanging out for this video because she's wanting to be a big snuggly baby today for some reason. Say hello, Meesha. Say hello. Say hello. So today I'm doing my May wrap-up, something that I cannot do with this big baby in my hands, so I'm going to have to put her down even though she does not want to go. Okay, so now that we got some cute puppy time in, I will move on to what you guys actually want to see, which are the books I read in May. So for the month of May, I read only 15 books. I had kind of a slow period in the beginning of the month and then a really crazy reading period at the end of the month. So kind of evened out. So 15 isn't bad. I usually do more, but I was busy this month, so. So the first book that I read this month was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have been waiting forever for this book. I am not ashamed to admit that I am a ridiculous Sarah J. Maas fangirl. I love every single thing she does. I love the Throne of Glass series. I love the online series thing she's doing with Susan Dennard, the Starkiller cycle. And I love this. This was so good. This was definitely the best book I've read this month. It was probably one of the best books I've read all year. I absolutely loved it. I obviously gave A Court of Thorns and Roses 5 out of 5 stars. So after reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, I kind of needed a little fun break because I was really overwhelmed by all the feels and how amazing that book was. So I took some time to read a couple of fun books, which were Solas, Changeless, and Blameless, all by Gail Carringer. If you don't know, those three books are a kind of like steampunk, supernatural book series that are just super fun, like set in the Victorian era, you know, steampunk, and there's werewolves and there's vampires and there's all sorts of weird things. And it's really fun. Solas, the first one, is by far my favorite so far. I gave that one and Changeless, which is the second one, both 4 out of 5 stars, and I gave the third one 3 out of 5 stars, only because in the third book there's some bad decisions made by certain characters that made me really annoyed, and certain characters weren't getting a lot of time together, which made me really annoyed. So it was still really good. It was really good, like next book in the series. I just didn't love it as much as the previous two. Next, I read Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. I read her first book she did. Holy cow, I'm having a brain blank with... Oh, Cruel Beauty! Cruel Beauty, there we go. I read Cruel Beauty when it first came out a year or two ago. I didn't love it to death, so I was a little hesitant picking up this one, but I was really excited by the thought of Little Red Riding Hood, because whoever does Little Red Riding Hood retellings? Nobody. So while this book did not really actually have a whole lot to do with Little Red Riding Hood, as far as I could figure out, there wasn't really much connecting, the book was still really great. I really loved it a whole lot better than Cruel Beauty. They're not actually connected, just the covers are similar, but the world and the characters and stuff, there's no connection. And I loved this one a whole lot more. It was really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. In May, I also managed to get my hands on The Wrath in the Dawn by Renee... whatever her last name is. So The Wrath in the Dawn is another retelling, this one of 1001 Nights, I believe it's called, and I did not know anything about it. I've never read it before. I've never read a retelling of it. I mean, I knew like the bare essentials of it, and that's about it. So for me, this book was super original and super refreshing, and it was really fantastic. I know a lot of people were kind of like, it's basically just the story. I mean, she didn't do anything new, which I don't know the story, so I can't say that. I really enjoyed this one. I found it to be really just refreshing. I know I said that already, but I really liked the characters. I really liked the situation. I really just liked a whole lot about this, but I did only give it 4 out of 5 stars because in this book, magic is a thing. But we don't really learn anything about it. It definitely has relevance in the story, but we get like no background. We don't really get much time with it. We don't get to understand a lot about it at all. And that was a little bit disappointing to me. So I did only give it 4 out of 5 stars. So for me, basically, I already read all the books I wanted to read. The 3 main books I was looking forward to getting my hands on were A Court of Thorns and Roses, The Wrath in the Dawn, and Crimson Bound. So at that point, I was just kind of looking for something to read. And at the library, I found Heist Society and the other 2 books in the series, which are Uncommon Criminals and Perfect Scoundrels. I just saw all 3 of them sitting there in a nice little pile at the library, and I was like, why not? I was super bored and just kind of looking for something to read, and unfortunately I didn't really like these books. I ended up giving all of them only 2 out of 5 stars. While the plot itself was super interesting, like, who doesn't love heists? I mean, it is such a cool thing to read about, but for this, the problem was I just didn't really care. I didn't really like any of the characters. I didn't really care about any of the heists. It was just, they were kind of bland, to be honest, so they did not get very good reviews from me. So out of desperation, I went to Half Price Books in search of something to read, and I found Death Note Volume 1 and Death Note Volume 2, which I had never in my life read before. I've never seen the anime. Actually, my father watched the anime, which is really weird. He's not an anime guy. I'm not even sure why he watched it, but he told me it was amazing. So I decided I would pick these up, and I really, really love this. Oh my gosh, I just thought it was so good. I didn't know anything about this going into it. My dad didn't want to tell me anything and spoil it. So my mind has been like blown just in these first two. It is so awesome. My problem is I'm not sure if I want to watch the anime, which I could watch right now, or wait to read all of these. I don't know. I have these on my Amazon wishlist and my birthday's coming up, so I might be getting them, but at the same time, I don't want to wait that long. Like, I really want to just read them right now or watch them right now, and the anime is looking very, very tempting. So if you guys have watched and read these, let me know which I should do first. I gave both of these 5 out of 5 stars. So after reading Death Note, I didn't have anything else to read, so I just kind of eeny, meeny, miny mowed my bookshelf, and I ended up picking Tiger's Curse by Colleen Hoke? I don't know. I've heard a lot of either really positive things about this or really negative. There doesn't really seem to be much in between. So I was almost positive that I was going to hate this book. I like the cover. I mean, the cover's pretty and shiny and there's a tiger. So I decided why not. And I actually liked this book more than I thought I would. The first chunk was fantastic. I really loved all the like Indian mythology and the traveling and all the like freaking Tomb Raider stuff they were doing. Unfortunately, the horrible like last third of the book where it just became all this sappy, gross romance, like teenage angst. It ruined like the whole thing for me. It really made me upset. Everything was just so dramatic and like unnecessarily so, and the romance itself was okay, but when everybody started feeling sorry for themselves and all like doubting that he could ever love me, and you know, that was when this book just went down the toilet. I actually gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. So after Tiger's Curse, I once again eeny, meeny, miny, mowed my shelves and picked up The Selection. I have been putting this book off for a really long time, another one that I thought I wouldn't like, and I actually enjoyed more than I thought I would. The problem is I'm not really sure why I enjoyed this book. I look over it and I kind of realize that there's not much going on. Like, not a whole lot happens, and it's just kind of, it's like a reality show. But, I mean, sometimes you can enjoy those. Guilty pleasure, I mean, come on, that's fine. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I can't imagine I gave it 4. I think I gave it 3. So this was a good first book, and I was kind of sad I didn't pick it up sooner. So after enjoying The Selection, I went and picked up The Elite from the library. While I enjoyed the first one, I hated the second one, you guys. I hated it. I know so many people love these books. I know that. I don't understand. This book, like, it's not that the writing was horrible or anything. It was America. That girl right there was just unbelievable. I don't want to spoil anything, and I'm not trying to like insult anybody that likes these books. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, that's fine. But this girl was awful. She constantly was just so like weak, just allowing people to constantly change her mind. She was just bouncing back and forth from boy to boy, and every time somebody said something about somebody else, she was like, oh, maybe you're right. Oh, I definitely should go back to him. Then something else would happen. Oh, but wait. Oh, I love him though. And it just was the worst. I literally was sick to my stomach just watching her go back and forth and back and forth. She had no spine. And that's the whole thing about America. She's supposed to be like stubborn and fiery, and you know, she's gotta have guts, and when it comes to these boys, she just is ridiculous. I'm really mad thinking about it right now. I didn't like this book very much. I gave it 2 out of 5 because I was in a generous mood, but thinking about it now, I probably should have given it 1. It made me angry. It made me angry. The worst part is I know I'm gonna pick up the 3rd book just because I want to know how it ends, and I'm half hoping that those two boys will just both like be done with her and kick her to the curb and go find love elsewhere, loving each other, something, because she doesn't deserve it, that's for sure. So after that horrible disaster, I really needed to end this month on a fantastic book. So I got Saga Volume 4. These are like the best things to ever happen to me. I love this graphic novel series so much. Every time I pick up the next one, it's just like opening the can of like horrible feels, and I'm crying and I'm laughing and I'm disturbed, and so good. If you guys have not read these, you are doing something so wrong with your life. Really, so good. I gave it 5 out of 5, of course, just like the rest of them, and I'm so excited for Volume 5 to come out. Alright, you guys, so those are all of the books that I read in May. Overall, it actually wasn't bad. I was surprised by some books that I liked. I was really horrified that I read other books. It was an up and down sort of month, but definitely better than the previous month. Alright, say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say bye-bye. Bye, Meesha.